Hi everybody, this is Osprey from MyChartCoach.com, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at some more of the stocks that were in play today. First up, we're going to take a look at ticker symbol MJ. This is the Alternative Harvest ETF, the marijuana ETF. Ticker symbol MJ. There you go. RSI's at 51, and so that's going to be key to stay above 50 and to keep that chart remaining bullish. Fasto's now above 80. Now that it's above 80, you want to see it stay above that level. Today, a black candle did form. The close today was below the open. The open's the top of the candle. The close was below. As you can see, the close was right on the blue line, which is the 300-day simple moving average at 29.95. It needs to hold that level to head higher. Now, if it drops below that level, you could see that middle Bollinger Band tested at 29.18. This is the second close in a row above the middle Bollinger Band, which is also the 20-day simple moving average. If that level turns into support, that will signal the start of a new uptrend. So, below 295, could see that 29 level tested in the middle Bollinger Band. That has to hold. If the 300-day simple moving average does hold, the next levels to break are this 250-day simple moving average. The averages, they're converging in this 31 resistance zone. So 31 will be the next target if this 30 level will hold. Once it gets above that 100-day simple moving average at 31.77, similar to back here in December, it could really get moving. Okay, so that'll be, that's the top moving average on the chart and the key level to break. It is on a 5-day run, so keep that in mind. Many times when you have a runner that runs on Friday and then again on Monday, Tuesday is the profit taking day, so keep an eye on that. As long as 29 holds, the uptrend should be intact. Okay, take a look at ticker symbol TWMJF. This is also ticker symbol WEED. Toronto Stock Exchange. This is Canopy Growth, and so it did close up 4% today. So congrats everybody. RSI is back above 50, so it's at 54. Needs to stay above that level. Want to see Fasto get above 50 as well. Nice bullish crossover on Friday on ADX, and it's still pushing higher. Today, a doji did form after a gap up open during an uptrend. This did form bearish doji star reversal pattern. So what we're looking for now is just for this middle Bollinger Band to turn into support. You want to see the candle stay above 23.86. As long as that level holds, a new uptrend should begin. And then we'd be looking for a retrace back to this previous high, which is the top of the closing price here on the 26th of March. That'll be the target up here, close to 27 zone will be the target if it can hold this 24 support level. Now if it fails to hold them in a Bollinger Band and comes down there and tests that 50-day simple moving average at 23.17, that needs to hold. It needs to stay above both levels now to get this new uptrend going. Keep in mind it is on a 5-day run, so the doji today is signaling that it could possibly take a little breather tomorrow. But if the middle Bollinger Band holds, then it's no problem. Nothing goes up in a straight line. Just keep that in mind. But yeah, this is still a good move for the cannabis sector. Let's look at ACBFF. This is Aurora Cannabis. It also trades under ticker symbol ACB, I believe, .to for the Toronto Stock Exchange. This closed up nearly 3%. It needs to get above 50 on RSI. It's at 48 right now. You want to see Fasto get up there and push above 80. We've got the another 5-day run. Today, a black candle did form, so it did close below the open. It needs to stay above 7 now. It closed today for the first time above the middle Bollinger Band since back here in March when support broke and the downtrend started. So this is signaling the possible start of a new uptrend here. We have this EMA4, the pink line crossed over the lime line. As long as candles stay above EMAs 4 and 8, this uptrend and above the middle Bollinger Band should continue. If they hold, that 7 level holds, the next target's this 50 and 100-day simple moving average and the 790 resistance zone. Okay, let's look at Afria here. This is ticker symbol APHQF over the counter. It also trades, I think it's APH is the ticker symbol for the Toronto Stock Exchange. And so, yeah, this closed up 7.5%. Notice how RSI is now above 50 for the first time since back here in January. So the chart's really starting to cook. You want to see Fasto get above 80 and stay there. Look at the ADX here. The green line's plus DI, the red line's minus DI, and the black line is is 80x. The green line is starting to cross the red line to the upside, so it's a signal the bulls are really heating up. We were looking for a close above that middle Bollinger Band at 913, and that did happen today. And so we want to see that level turn into support. If it holds, the next level to break is going to be this 50-day simple moving average at 1047. A close above that, and then you'll be looking for a run up to the upper Bollinger Band at 1150 and the 100-day simple moving average at 1176. Notice it was struggling with this 100-day simple moving average, keeping it as support back here in March, so it's likely to be a tough resistance when tested. This is possibly another new uptrend starting. Notice how it has a nice volume spike today, so you've got, volume picking up for these marijuana stocks, and they're starting new uptrends. It's going to be all about holding the middle Bollinger Band. Back here in March, they got above the upper middle Bollinger Band, and they failed to hold and pull back. But look at the difference. The big difference that I'm seeing is the volume. Okay, so look at it the last time. It was above the middle Bollinger Band. I mean, really light volume. It was above the middle Bollinger Band and hardly any volume at all, right? And so look at the difference now. I mean, the top volume was on the 12th there when it closed above, and look at today's volume when it closed above. I mean, that's the signal right there, right? It has 5 times the amount of volume today that it closed on. And so this is what you look for. The volume is the signal. That's what we look for, to signal that, you want to see a break above resistance on volume, and that's convincing. The March break wasn't convincing because there was no volume. Now that we have volume, now you got our interest. Now we're like, okay, this looks like this could be happening. So come check out our chat. I've been posting tons of plays in the chat, like on the marijuana sector, and it's not just me. We have lots of people in the chat that are contributing and sharing information. And so come check it out. It's all about being in the premium channel. You can come check that out for free. I'll come to the chat. I'll send you a link, and I can get you in there and you can check it out. Okay, let's check out WATT. This is Watt. Mixing it up now. Now we're going to the blockchain stock here, and this had a really nice move today. It closed up nearly 10%. RSI is pushing here now at 59. It does have Fasto at 97, so it's pushing that temporarily overbought level. You have Plus DI breaking out. So today the big move was the close above the 50-day simple moving average. That's the green line at 19. Okay, so if it can stay above that level, that's going to signal that it wants to head higher. You notice how it tried to get above that level on the 10th and it failed. The last close above that 50-day simple moving average is back here on March the 14th. Notice also this descending resistance line, right? So you have this this channel. This is the bottom of the channel, the descending support, and then you have descending resistance. And then today there was a close above the red descending resistance line, and so that's a signal that it wants to head higher. So it's all about staying above 19. If it can stay above 19 and break 20, then look for a run up here to this 2250 level. That was the high close from back here on February 26, and it's going to be the next tough level to break. If it can get above that, then 24 will be on deck. So yeah, Watt was really cruising. I want to show you the 2-hour chart for Watt here, and you can see how it's retracing back up to that 23 zone, or at least it's working on it. It broke out above the bottom of the black candle is the close, and so into the close today, it broke out above, and it broke out above the 200, the red line, and 300 simple moving averages on the 2-hour chart. If it can stay above 1950, that's going to be really bullish. It closed right here at the open of the candle at at this 10 o'clock candle, and so if it can break above 20, that's going to be your signal that it wants to push higher. Notice that it had this, it's going to have to work its way through this 20 to 23 resistance zone, but the big clue is this huge volume that poured in today. It had the big volume and it pushed back higher and it closed on a volume spike. It has to break above 20 now. If it stalls out at 20 and pulls back, that would be a red flag. And then also it has to hold this middle Bollinger Band at 1821. That'll signal the uptrend. The uptrend started when the middle Bollinger Band broke back here on this candle, and so that signaled that it wanted to head higher. If it pulls back, that'll signal downside risk. Okay, let's look at the SRNE daily chart here. Okay, so this closed up 11% today. RSI did break 50. That was good. You want to see Fasto, heat up and get back above that 80 level. Keep an eye on ADX here. If that green line crosses the black and red line to the upside, it'll be a signal the bulls are heating up. This has been in a downward channel since topping out back here in the end of February, beginning of March, and so it has a descending resistance line. And so notice how it's currently hitting that red line right now. If it can bust through 650, the next target here is the 50-day simple moving average at 721. That'll be the big level to break. A close above 721 would be really bullish, and then you'd be looking for a run up here to that upper Bollinger Band at 825 and this high close resistance level on the 12th. That's this previous channel. So right now it's trying to get a new uptrend going. It did close above the middle Bollinger Band, currently at 622. So if that level turns into support, that would be really bullish. Back here when it closed above in March, it failed to hold on each attempt and it pulled back. So once it finally holds, that'll be a signal that it's starting a new uptrend. It's been holding this 100-day simple moving average at 573. That level needs to hold. It's currently at the top of this downtrending channel. It needs to bust through in order to break out higher. Okay, let's look at DNN. Closed up 7% today. Some of these non-ferrous metals are moving. I showed you UEC and the last one, a uranium play. So keep an eye on these guys. They're heating up. Pun intended. They're starting to cook here, and if DNN can break above this 5150, if you see it trading 52 and above tomorrow, that's going to be a bullish signal. It needs to close above this 100 and 300-day simple moving averages, and if it can turn those levels into support, it could move back up into the 60s. Okay, that was the previous high up here at 63. Now, failed to break through that 5150, 51 resistance level. That'll signal it's not ready to go, and then it might pull back and test that 200-day simple moving average at 49. It needs to hold that level now that it's above to keep pushing higher. Notice that it had a nice volume spike today. So you had a volume spike down here, and then another volume spike. It looks like like right here, and then now you've got another volume spike right here. And so notice how the volume spikes, it's slowly working its way higher. So it looks like you've got bigger volume on the up days. It looks like loading at the bottom. So this is wound up. It just has to break through that 51 resistance level. Okay, take a look at EBIO. Closed up nearly 14% today. So yeah, this is one that it's cool. It's been pushing higher. I mean, this is one we've been following for a long time, and it's been pretty hot this entire year. You can see back here in December it got above the middle Bollinger Band, and then it's just been heading in this upward channel, and it's been slowly breaking these moving averages. It got above the 50, and then it got above the 100, and then above the 200, and then now it got above the 300 day simple moving averages, the green, gold, red, and blue lines. And so now it's above that top moving average, and now it's worked its way up to the next key resistance zone, which is back here in September and October of 2017. So it's all about breaking that 170 zone now. This 160 to 170. It's hitting it right now. So this is the crucial level. This is where it topped out back here in 2017. If it can turn that 170 into support, that'll be a signal that wants to head higher. If it fails to break that level, it could pull back into the back down into this channel. And notice how it's trying to break out of this. There's a strong ascending resistance line here. Notice how all these candles have been hit, and it's trying to bust out of the top of that. If it gets sucked back into this previous channel, like it has every single time, which it's more than likely going to do when it hits this level, but it could break out higher. You never know. This was some huge volume here at the beginning of April, but the odds are that it comes back down and tests once it stalls out at 170. That would be my guess, and then you would want to see this 300-day simple moving average at 135 hold on a pullback. It did have a big spike today, and it could run up to that 170. I just think it's going to have a hard time busting through this resistance zone. It might even run up all the way to 185, which was that previous high. I mean, it has a super strong uptrend. As long as the uptrend holds and it's intact, the swing trade signal is just to keep riding. Okay, let's look at ticker symbol RUBI. It closed up 10% today, so it's starting to get frothy here. You know, it has RSI at 73 and Fasto at 91, but this is another one that's been pushing. It hit a key resistance level today, and that's where it stalled out at. If you look over here in November, there's a gap between low of day on this white candle and high of day on this doji here, and this upper wick is the bottom of the gap. And notice how the upper wick on today's candle hit the bottom of the gap and pulled back. So and you know, that's the same thing that happened in January. It hit the bottom of the candle, the bottom of the gap level, and that was the top, and it pulled back. Why does that happen? Because the bottom of the gap is a huge resistance level to break. It acts just like a 200 or 300-day simple moving average, where it's really tough to break when tested. Now, if it does break above and that level turns into support, that's going to be the clue that it wants to head higher. So if you see RUBI or RUBI trading above 250, the 200-day simple moving average at 287 will be the next target. If it can break above 287, then the top of the gap level is 330. We'd be looking for a gap fill. You know, it has to break the bottom of the gap, break the 200-day simple moving average, and then hit 330, and then that would fill the space, the gap between these two candles. And so, you know, if it stalls out here like it did last time in January, this would signal a temporary top. You'll know if the run's cooling down by whether or not EMA4 at 223 holds. Notice how every single one of these candles during this recent run, for the last 2 weeks, it's been holding EMA4. Once it finally closes below, that'll be your clue. Okay, it's cooling down, similar to over here, you know, similar to over here, you know, where it pulled back each time. And so that's where you could see the pullback and that middle Bollinger Band at 195 tested. Okay, let's look at HEAR. Okay, closed up nearly 12% today. Now it does have RSI at 78. Fasto is deceiving. It's at 63. It's only at 63 because of these long upper wicks on the candles. If you could see here, it's been, you know, it hit 580, hit this 550 level, and each time it pulls back and forms the long upper wick. Well, this is a sign that they're diluting on the way higher. Notice how this is a really thinly traded stock. You know, it has hardly any volume. They drove it down on nothing, and then you know, they had a little bit of loading down here at the bottom, and then now for some reason it has a giant volume just pouring in at these high levels. And if you look down here at accumulation distribution over here and shaken money flow, you could see the dilution right here. You can see where it just drops off a cliff. That's on this first long wick. You know, the close was way down here. They just sold shares all the way into it. And then what do? They push it higher, 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 and then boom, today, you know, dump shares into it. Even though it closed up on the day, it was up 11%, and you have a giant volume spike, you know, 6 million shares traded. There was a big spike down in accumulation distribution and a spike down in shaken money flow. You know, that's just a sign that they're dumping shares on the way up. You know, that's all fine and dandy as long as you're not the one getting caught holding the bag. And so you're going to, you know, keep an eye on EMA4 here. If it drops below EMA4 at 380, that'd be a signal it's cooling down, you know, and then EMA8 at 343 and EMA 13 at 315 are the big levels below. Notice how it's been bouncing off of the EMA 13, the orange line on the pullbacks on the recent run. A break below that level would be a red flag. It would be a change in trend, and that's where you could see that 300-day simple moving average at 288 tested. If you look at the 15-minute chart here, you can see what has to happen. It has to break above this 470 resistance zone. That was the close at the open today. It pretty much, you know, pulled back and just channeled out. You know, it has to break above this 450 level as well. That's more of the top of today's channel. It hit that a couple times and failed to break. Failed to get above 450 and failed to hold 438 would be a red flag. It needs to stay above those levels. If they break, it could come down here and test the bottom of the channel and the lower Bollinger Band and that 50 simple moving average down here between 411 and 420. A drop below 411 would be that big signal that, okay, yeah, it's pulling back, and then it could drop down to 360. The risk here is that once the volume dries up, that it's going to be tough to get out. I mean, if you look back here, there was no volume on the 11th, hardly any volume on the 12th, and so all the volume today was in the first half hour of the trading day. I mean, you had basically what, 2, 3, 4 million of the 6 million shares happened in the first 30 minutes of the day, and it was all the dilution. So just keep that in mind. Okay, let's look at NM, ticker symbol NM. excuse me. We're going to finish up with this marine transportation stock. You know, every once in a while, these things get running in this sector. You know, this is where you have dries and, you know, all the various notorious characters. And so keep an eye on NM. Caught my eye tonight just because it has some big volume down here at the bottom. Check out all the volume. You know, you've got lots of heavy loading. You know, it has good volume, this stock, for a penny stock. You know, it usually trades over 1 million shares, but you can see there's been a big increase here recently at the bottom. You know, you've got these spikes. See the spike at 2 million. You know, and it's holding support, and it looks like they're loading in this zone down here. You know, between 70 and 80. And so what has to happen? Today it closed above EMA 4 again, and it closed last week above that level. If that level holds at 75, and then if you see a close above this lime line, notice how there hasn't been a close above this lime line right here since way back here, okay, since all the way up here in March, okay, so at the very beginning of March like 2nd or whatever that was. And so the bottom line is this is going to be the signal. You know, if it closes above EMA 8, then you could see a run up to the EMA 13 at 80, and then once it breaks above that, that's when the middle Bollinger Band at 87 is going to be on deck. I would keep an eye on it. I think that it's setting up here. Look at MACD. See how it's pinched? And then, you know, once that crosses over, that should signal the start of a new uptrend. Check out how it's at 0 right now. And then you have the crossover already on 8, 13, and 5. And then you had this PSAR bull flip. Notice how these dots are above the candles. And then they flipped over last week, and then they flipped back above. Once it breaks that 80 level, the dots will flip back below the candles again. So keep an eye on it. Just keep in mind that if it fails to break EMA 8 resistance, and if it drops below EMA 4 and closes below 75, it will be a risk to hold. Okay, thank you very much for viewing this video. Please come check out the chat. I'll post the link below the video and YouTube video. And yeah, it's got to check out the premium. Okay, thank you.